Ricken Financial presents Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you reach the retirement you deserve. Let's build a strategy that gives you the confidence while meeting your financial wants and needs. Meet the team at rickenfinancial.com. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens.
RickenFinancial.com to meet the team, and we appreciate you checking out, subscribing, and downloading Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. My name is Mark Owens. Heidi Ricken Provost, always good to see you. Where's Dad?
Hey, the feeling's mutual, Mark. But we'll address the elephant in the room, or rather not in the room, right away. You are stuck with me this week because, fun fact, Gerry is actually checked into the hospital and getting emergency eye surgery as we speak because, he his retina decided to become unattached. We hope he doesn't lose his eyesight, and he's off getting some surgery right now.
Wait, is that a real possibility that he could lose his eyesight?
Oh, yeah.
Has this been a problem? I was 6 months ago, he had some eye problems. Is this a continuation of that, or is this something different?
No, this one's actually different. So about 6 or so months ago, he had a couple tears in his retina. In the last year, he got cataract surgery done. And fun fact, when you have cataract surgery, a rare side effect is that you can have retinal issues in the future. So he hasn't done anything. There's been no trauma to his eye or anything. It'll be like he blinks and then all of a sudden he can't see. So, that happened yesterday. We were just having a nice little conversation, and he went home for lunch, and on his drive back, he couldn't see out of half of his left eye. So he went straight to the eye doctor, and they're like, yeah, you're going to have surgery tomorrow. And the last one, he had like a 5-minute recovery. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was back in the seat right here recording with me within an hour of having emergency eye surgery. But this one, he's actually going to have to slow down for a hot minute and recover at home. So
is that
he promises he's going to be a good patient.
No, is that even possible? Can Gerry slow down?
No, he cannot.
I get it.
Whatever keeps him in the game and keeps him happy. But we just talked about this. He doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon because he can't sit still. Yeah. And he loves what he does. So, But I got to say, I'm very grateful to Grandpa for giving us a lot of the qualities that we have, our integrity, our faith, our, ability to love wholeheartedly, and our humor. I'm not as grateful for our flat feet and our terrible teeth. This was never on our bingo card.
Yeah. Because
both my grandma and my grandpa had like perfect freaking eyesight, except for readers when they got old. So where did this come from?
Genetics.
And even one of my aunts still has perfect eyesight.
Yeah. Like,
how is this a thing?
Yeah. Hey, look,
I don't know.
I look at my 2 older brothers, and they have a full head of hair, and I have 0. So genetics.
That ship sailed a hot minute ago.
A long time ago. One thing I do love about your dad, he is always so positive, and his glass is always so half full. Knowing him in this situation, he's going to have retina surgery. He's going to be off his feet for a little while. He's probably going to find the best part and be like, hey, well, that means I don't have to drive anywhere. I've got a chauffeur anywhere I need to go.
Oh, yeah. He already was like, oh, this is awesome. Now I can do this, and this that I had on my list, but I didn't have time for because blah, blah, blah. And, he's like, well, I talked to the surgeon yesterday, and they said, like, it might only be a couple-day recovery, so I might be back in the office this week. And I'm like, oh my God,
Gerry,
please.
Take
for the
some
love
time.
of God.
Relax. Just get yourself better. We need the best you.
I know.
We need to see you like you need to see us. Okay, that's what's most important.
Can you imagine how tough it would be if he couldn't see my beautiful face again?
See again. These are the side effects we weren't prepared for. If you are listening, if you have subscribed to Kickin' with the Rickens, I want you to go to rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN, rickenfinancial.com, the contact form. Just shoot Gerry an email. Just tell him we're thinking about you. Just say, get well soon. He would appreciate that more than anything, too, because God love him. He's always such a positive guy. I hate to see him off his feet, but she's genetics. But you know what?
Yeah.
Heidi, that's actually a great conversation piece to have this week here on Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. What happens? I've had an emergency. Now what? And by emergency, it can be a medical emergency. It could be a tree falls on the house. It could be, an unexpected divorce. Great divorces, they happen. So if there is an emergency, a speed bump that happens in your life, what now?
So funny you mentioned that because, Dad and I take some time and prepare for each Tuesday when we record with you, Mark. And we were just talking about what we call the ICE plan, the in case of emergency. And that was literally the topic on hand that we were going to talk about today. So, Gerry put his ICE plan in place. I know, right? Okay, so let's get started with the number one thing you should be doing. None of us know what kind of emergency is going to hit us in the future. Every human being over the age of 18, whether they're married, single, whatever, needs to have a human being designated in their life as their medical power of attorney and their financial durable power of attorney. So that means the court doesn't have to if I get hit by a bus today, Stephen, my husband, is set up to make my financial and medical decisions. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that is taken care of, because otherwise the courts can step in and make decisions for you. And actually, they will step in and say, this is the human being that's going to make them for you. Your next of kin may not be the person you want to make those decisions for you. So you have to designate that. And more importantly, have the conversation with your power of attorney. So on the medical side, I'm my sister's medical power of attorney. If something were to happen to her, I would be the person to step in and help out. We've talked through all sorts of stuff together, so I know exactly what her medical decisions would be. And you want to make sure that whoever is going to be making those decisions for you is going to honor your wishes and know what your wishes are. So you have to have the conversation to begin with. On the financial side, if something were to happen to my husband at any point in time, I would step in financially. And I already know all of our finances because we've sat down and had the discussion. But you need to make sure whoever is your financial power of attorney and or the trustee, if something were to happen to you and you pass away, you need to make sure that financial person is prepared and knows A, where all your money is, B, how to access it, C, how to pay your bills, D, the list goes on. But at least at baseline, know what you have and how to access it, because, this actually happened to one of our clients recently. Her partner was incapacitated and all of a sudden was like, oh my God, I know that he has a Discover bill, but I don't even know how to pay it or how to get access to his online accounts or anything like that. So it's not a fun conversation to have because no one wants to think about what happens in case of emergency.
Right.
But it's a simple conversation to have, and just make sure that whoever you designate is prepared for that designation in case of emergency.
You say most importantly is make sure you have a medical and a financial power of attorney, and make sure whomever that is, they know and they understand the responsibility behind being asked to do that.
Yeah, and you can go one step further too and just fill out that HIPAA authorization form for that medical power of attorney as well, because cover all your bases. The power of attorney should cover everything, but just in case anyone needs it, fill out that HIPAA authorization too, just so that, they can talk about your medical stuff too. And, but that's really to cover you in an immediate medical emergency, which I always hope that's not the case for anyone.
Sure. 100%.
Let's talk about some financial emergencies, because those are more likely to happen on a daily basis than the medical ones. I actually was meeting with our Women's Client Advisory Board recently, and we were talking through a couple different scenarios, because actually one of them brought it up and said, hey, if you have the opportunity, you should probably be educating people on what to do if their wallet gets stolen, because hers did, when actually not just her wallet, her car was stolen too while she was pumping gas.
Yeah. Oh, gee.
Yeah. And she was actually getting ready to go on a road trip, and all of her credit cards, her ID, everything was in her wallet. So one piece of advice we have there, maybe once a quarter or so, take everything you have out of your wallet, take a copy of it on each side and put that in a safe place. So say someone steals my wallet right now, I would know exactly what phone numbers to call, what the credit card numbers were. You can cover all your bases, make sure you get that, you don't miss one step in the event that happens. And actually, one other piece of advice beyond that, if you have one of those credit cards that you don't really use very often, we all have one of those you opened back in the day, and it's like, well, you're going to ruin your credit if you shut it down. So you may as well just keep it, and every 6 months you put something on it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Keep that card in a safe at home or in a safe place outside of your wallet, so that if you're like this client and you have to go on a trip right away, you have access to a credit card and don't have to use cash everywhere, because since COVID, not many people use cash
True.
nowadays. And you can't always get like immediate access to the next card or something. So, just a little food for thought there.
That's a great point.
I had never thought about that one before, but I thought that was great advice from our client who has had the real life experience that led us to why we need to cover ourselves that way.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because we all did this back in college. I signed up for the credit card to get the free T-shirt. I mean, who didn't?
Yeah,
Who didn't?
of course.
Now, I've closed that one out, but but as an adult, the free T-shirt is free check luggage. So I signed up for a Delta Sky Miles card to get the free check luggage. That's the equivalent of being in college to get the free T-shirt.
My husband already had all his credit cards covered and everything when we met, but he flies a lot for American. So he got one of those American cards, and now I get to go access the lounge because I'm an authorized user on his account.
Fancy pinky out. That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I know, right?
That's what I'm.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
The last 4 times I've flown, it hasn't been American, so I haven't even had the opportunity to use it.
Unacceptable. Do you not walk
I
up
know,
and say,
right?
"Do you not know who I am? Look at my credit cards." Well, one of them, I have 3 more at the house. But listen, all right, so now I do have a question for the families that you serve. If they have an emergency and let's say they need a quick access to cash, what happens then in an emergency?
Well, that's going to depend upon what type of emergency it is. First thing they should do, pick up the phone and call me, because every single person I meet with, there's going to be a very different answer for how they access that quick cash. Some people, it might be, this is why you had the emergency savings. It's going to cover us today. Say something drastic happens and they need more than their emergency funds. It might be the best advice for them could potentially be that they take out a 401k loan, or that they take a home equity line of credit out, or, they can access some of their brokerage account funds, or their assets under management. We really don't know. There's, like everything else, there's no one specific answer for this is the best way you can get cash today.
Right.
But for each person, it's going to change. And that's not something you should be doing alone. That's precisely why we exist. So give us that phone call. I mean, I just had one last week. My car broke down in the middle of the highway. Thank God they were okay. But I have to buy a new car, and it was not in our budget. It was not in our plans for 5 years. What do we do? And we talked it through with them. And actually, they qualified for one of those 0% interest loans right now, which I didn't even think that they still had those.
Wow.
But we talked through every different arena that they could access cash. And in the end, they only had to access a little bit of it to cover that down payment. But like everything else, each person's going to have a different answer for how they should best access the cash that they need. But don't do it alone, because you don't want to cause more money to your family, more interest, or whatever the situation may be than is necessary. So, that's what we exist for. Just give us a quick call.
So have we covered pretty much all the bases there? We talked about medical and financial. We talked about the power of attorney. We talked about the credit cards.
Yes.
What are we missing, Heidi?
There is one more big piece that we're missing, and that is insurance. Most people, like me in the past, before I have dealt with some issues with some of my clients, you set up your homeowner's insurance, your car, your whatever, your property and casualty stuff. You don't even think about it again until you get married or whatever. Then you might add a piece of jewelry to it. But Mark, when was the last time you sat down with your property and casualty insurance provider and actually did a review of your insurance?
When our basement flooded 3 years ago, but that was a forced conversation.
Exactly. And so, like everything else, you don't want to wait for the emergency to do it. It might sound crazy, but at least every couple of years, kick those tires. Make sure you have the right insurance coverage. Life changes on a daily basis. You want to make sure you have the right coverage in case of the emergency. So play out in your head what could go wrong. We're in Tornado Alley. If my house gets taken out with a tornado tomorrow, I know I have the right coverage because I have done this review with Daryl recently, and we looked through everything together. But in case of emergency, you want to make sure you're prepared. That's why you buy insurance. So you got to make sure you have the right insurance covering you. And that goes for health insurance as well, and for long-term care insurance. So if you've never spoken to us about long-term care insurance or long-term care coverage of some sort, and you may need it in the future, because 7 out of 10 of us are going to need it in the future, you should be having that discussion too, because you always want to make sure you have your bases covered. And by the time you need it, it's too late to get it most of the time.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that regardless, no matter where you're at, if an emergency happens and you just need some advice, need someone to talk to, kind of put you in the right path, they can always reach out to you and Gerry and the team at Ricken Financial, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And you learn one of two ways. You either learn by being in school and seeing something come across your desk, or with real life experience. And we've had the opportunity to learn with a lot of real life experience with our different clientele. So rely on our experience. It might be the first time you're going through something, and especially in case of emergency, I hope it's the first time you're going through this emergency. So give me a call, give Gerry a call. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure you don't have to do any of this alone.
Especially, right now, Gerry's going through it. Not so much an emergency where everyone's flipping out, but it is an unexpected situation that you're stuck in right now.
This is my public apology to our client advisory board for having to move our meeting. But we want to make sure Gerry's there because he keeps us all entertained.
That's right.
So, we got to make sure we have dinner with him when he's back up on his feet.
So that just means that next time y'all get together, he's buying dinner.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. It's on him.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Well, Heidi, thank you so much for the information and the education. If you get caught in an emergency and you're asking yourself, now what? Heidi said it a couple of times here. Reach out to us. Give us a call. The best way to reach the team is rickenfinancial.com. Again, RICKEN financial.com. All right. So with Gerry not here, you got to help me with the ending this week that we do every time here on Kicking with the Rickens.
I got you.
All right, Heidi. Every day
is a holiday.
Life is short.
Laugh hard.
Thank you so much. You've been listening to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial, LLC. Ricken Financial, LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial, LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial, LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.